Welcome to another episode of the BootzToSuitzPodcast with CJ and Gate. Brother, we got a phenomenal episode this time around. We have I am Jada Jones, author, trainer, speaker, CEO, and founder of cyber-inspired learning solutions and steady marketing. Hey, this is going to be a great episode, brother. I'm excited because I know I'm a person to get me some takeaways on how to market my businesses and take them to the next level. So
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. No, definitely. How's the weather out where you at?
It's like in the 60s. So I'm in Augusta, Georgia. So we get 3 seasons every hour. That's what it seems like.
Okay, so you got some bipolar stuff going on. That's fair.
That's exactly what it is.
So tell me, how have you been able to manage your businesses and your things that you got going on and still be active duty? Like how are you able to balance all of that? I mean, sounds like a lot.
So CJ, I would definitely say it's not even about balance. It's like really like integrating stuff because first off, being a senior warrant officer, right, in the cyber world, being active duty, and then, hey, I want to sit there for my family as well as the business. It's like I have to really prioritize and integrate those particular things because the balance is not there. When I start balancing, something is going to lose weight somewhere. So I start to, try my best to integrate those things and make time on the schedule because if not, someone is going to sit there and lack off. So it's definitely an integration thing.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put that. I've never looked at it that way, and that sounds like something I need to start doing now. Kind of like when we coming up through the ranks, and like some stuff just gonna fall off the plate. We gotta prioritize and just figure out how to make it work. So, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Does anything that you gained in your career that's helped your business prosper?
So I can tell you this, in my career, and as y'all know as well as business owners, entrepreneurs, and chief warrant officers, that what we learn in the military, it's easier to sit there and transfer and transition into the outside world when we start looking at business and the entrepreneur mindset, because it's already in our DNA to sit there and go after certain things, right? We just need to have structure around it because as military individuals, we do so many different things to where it's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I could do this, I could do that. But you had to put structure around your ideas and then start to sit there and implement certain stuff. Because I was like that in the beginning. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be so much restricted. And, as we sit there and start to grow in the military, we'd be so restricted to certain things. So you're like, I can't do this, I can't do that. But once you start to blossom a little more and mature a little more, you're like, okay, let me put these things into play because it's already instilled in us. So I started using those things, and that's some of the reasons why I ended up writing a book as well. I just inserted just real quick, but that's why I did, because we so restricted. We feel like we're restricted. So when we do good on the outside, depending on what we're doing, it's like we don't know where we're supposed to be at.
Right.
So, but you do. You just gotta ignite it more and more. So. That's how I played the part and that's the playbook for me.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. What actually inspired you to take your military leadership and technical knowledge and share with the masses? Because our leadership abilities, we have to see him and be diverse because we deal with so many personalities, ethnic backgrounds, and cultures. What inspired you to see and take that outside of the uniform?
Because I'm human, right? And it may sound simple, but in the military, it seems like we're just so like on autopilot, right? To where it's like, okay, when I get out of the military or however we sit there in transition, it's like I have to make sure that, it's humanized and the experience is humanized because we be so much structured how our organization is to where we get on the outside, it's not like that. So I had to make sure that whoever I'm in contact with, who I'm interacting with, realize that you're going to have to be able to blend in and adapt to certain things and communicate even more effective on the outside, because some people don't know the lingo that we have in the military, to where we come on the outside like, what is this? We're so built upon more teamwork, where you go on the outside, sometimes it's not like that. So you had to realize, like, they're human, but they're not built like us in those senses to sit there and think the way we think. That makes sense.
No, that perfect sense.
Yeah, that made perfect sense. And CJ and I talk about that all the time, how even in that transition piece, if you don't start that process early, as you go into different sectors or different chapters, it's hard. It's a lot harder. It's not impossible, but it's a lot harder to relate when you're going back into the civilian sector or corporate or whatever you decide to do next. So just see, it's great that to have someone like you already instilling that into the culture, into society, so we can sit here and have that transition piece in there. So it's really helpful.
I appreciate it. It's helpful for y'all too, because what y'all got going on and things that in that nature, because it allows people to know that there is possibilities and there's opportunities that's out there. Because if we don't sit there and share those things, they can be like, there's nothing else after the military, and they get stagnant in certain places. No, it's so much more. So we got to open up their mindset for more.
I totally agree with that. Because I'm sure in Army, and me and CJ from the Navy side of it, we talk to our service members all the time about don't limit yourself to only in the uniform. Back when we first came in, we didn't have social media like that and all the opportunities, and wasn't aware. And I think we're doing a great job now sitting here integrating ourselves with technology as time go on and evolution. But the service members we have now, to open their eyes, open their lens to doing more and maximizing their time in uniform and out. That was the whole basis behind starting this podcast and being able to network and stuff like that with you and other people that, doing great things in the uniform. We just don't even know about it. So, it's fun. I'm enjoying this journey. And, again, we just want to give you our BootzToSuits Medal of Honor for sitting here. You're a rock star. I see you on the stage. I see you on social media. Like, I see Jada everywhere. Giving the information about leadership, about life, about marketing, about everything. So tell me this: being a cyber person, which I'm, we talk about cyber offline too a lot. That's what we do. Warrant's always talking tech stuff, being techie, and and seeing it in your bio, what's your thoughts on the recent, a lot of conversations about AI and the interest in it and how these companies are going with it? What's your thoughts on that?
So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's because it's a good solution for certain things, right? But even when we start looking at corporations and we start looking at businesses, people still want that human experience. People still want those things that it cannot be taken away. It makes it easier. The AI makes it totally easier for certain, things that you have. But I wouldn't necessarily say for them to make that holistically what their business or their organization is about, because it does help. It's every tool that we have. It helps until something else come out, right? So my thought about the AI is definitely a good solution for this particular time that we're in now, because it's going to get better. It's going to enhance more, but we still need to have that human experience. Otherwise, everything's gonna be a robot. Because everything can be a robot going in different places, to where it's like, where are all the humans? Who can actually have thoughts and actually think? So that is definitely my thoughts about AI.
That's great. Yeah, same thing. It's amazing. It's amazing. We seen the movies back in the day, what Terminator, and I don't know how many other ones out there, and now we're seeing it become like
the fruition.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, look good though. It look good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think you still being active duty hinders you in any way? Maybe business relationships, things you're able to say, that kind of thing. Do you feel that there's any roadblocks with that?
No, I think right now, how I integrate certain things is actually a little bit better, because I'm able to free up certain things and articulate certain activities that I'm doing to where it actually works out for the better for me. But that's just me communicating those things like with full transparency with my leadership and what we have going on. Because some of the things I do on the outside, I implement it in the inside. So they're like, "Oh, you do this?" I'm like, "I do." But you know what? I could do this leadership game here with us where we can sit there and enhance our own credibility and stuff like that and authority. So they're like, "Okay, let's go." So that's how I try to integrate most of the things. So no roadblocks. And I'm glad about it. The only roadblock I would say is time, but
No, that's all our roadblocks. Speaking of time, right? Well, fast forward 5 years. Where you see you and your businesses at?
so me and my business. So both of the businesses, I definitely see more of branding and marketing of course, of the cyber inspired learning, because I want to sit there and learn and teach more individuals, even the youth, with the cyber, because again, that's where the stuff is coming from, right? So I want to expand more on that. I want to start making more of a movement, because I am in STEM as well. So I sit there and do some volunteer things with them and JRTC. So I want to be able to expand that even more, not just locally, but more so even in Georgia and in New York. So that's the look on that, and just building even more in the economic field with these different companies. So that's where I see myself at, and I might be retired by that time.
Might be.
It depends.
You piqued this interest when you said New York. So if you seen the big old smile there, I'll let him share that with you.
That's where I'm originally from. So upstate though.
See, I like that. She copped to it. Said she was from upstate. It's like, because I'm about to ask you, what 5 boroughs. I'm from Brooklyn. So,
oh, you from Brooklyn? I'm Rochester.
The old school.
All y'all Brooklyns come down to Rochester anyway. So.
Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay, well, I'll never go back there. I don't got no good memories of New York like that. But to be said, I do have a sensitive part of me that, like, really, like, now that I'm out, and I was just telling him the other day, whether it be another podcast or some memoirs, or just trying to let people know, well, Brooklyn, how it used to be, not this new HGTV, place it was, but being able to get out of that and still do great things, and not pigeonholed into where you at, because it was a lot, you know what I mean? So I appreciate you definitely giving back to the youth, because that's huge. This cyber thing is, I'm an Intel guy personally, right? So I work with cyber guys. But my interest is peaked in cyber. Where do you see the cyber community? You focus, well, not focus, but you say, the youth is a big part of it, right? But where do you see cyber in this world, later on? Like, I gave you 5 years, give me 10 years. What do you think where are we headed with cyber?
So it depends on what we're looking at for cyber, right? Some people don't even know what cyber is. So when I talk about cyber, my perspective is more of the security portion, right? As far as, because what I do specialize in is I make sure I keep it good here, but cyber security, right? Information security portions, right? So those are going to be still critical, because there's going to be so many infrastructure, so many software stuff that's coming that it needs some security. It's going to need some protection. It's going to need, because there's every day something's getting hacked somewhere, Facebook, all these different things. So it's definitely going to sit there and expand even more. So cyber's not going away as much as AI keep on coming through. So there's going to be some moments, especially cloud security portion.
Exactly.
So
no, you so right. Being an Intel guy myself, these wars ain't being fought with weapons no more. It's a computer, and we going in. That's just how it is.
And that's the fight. That's the fight. It's a cyber warfare fight. So it's a whole different. Everyone always thinks it's something being physical, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore, and that's what people like yourself and what we do and these kind of conversations is what expose people, the community on, hey, how important it is just to kind of break yourself away from the traditional way of thinking and understanding that IT, cyber is present. And it's not even going to say it will be the future. It's already here.
It
you
is.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the kind of conversations everyone need to tap into. And speaking of tapping into, if you haven't already subscribed to the Boots to Suits podcast on YouTube, you know, what are you waiting on? Go ahead and do that. Follow us on Instagram. We're there, Boots to Suits Podcast, on IG and all podcast platforms. So definitely go ahead and subscribe. But
I got you know what? Did you have your business the whole time you was in the military?
So I had, I was doing a lot of different businesses throughout the military. So,
Okay.
so I always had that like entrepreneur mindset to where like I want more and I get bored easily. So I'm like, this is too easy for me. I need some more challenges. So I used to sit there always talking and networking with business owners back when I was about a specialist, you know, and I'm starting figuring out certain things. But legally, when I started doing my entities, it was it was legal.
Yeah.
It was just I
Yeah.
didn't have entities. I was doing more freelance and more consulting, but it wasn't like, you know, hey, this is my LLC or this is my corp. So legally, entity, it's been about 6 years that I actually started to sit there and push those things through. I'm like, okay, I'm ready, you know, and start thinking about how to build more generational wealth because sometimes it's not as easy as we think it is. And I sit there and say, hey, what is in your generational wealth container? Business, it could very well be, but it comes with health, wealth, and all that good stuff. So my mindset was early on thinking about that, what I want more when I started to get in higher ranks, and I was going to stay in the military. But the military fueled those things and so much opportunities in the military to where it's like, I need to mold myself even more to go out there and sit there and do what I need to do. So everything was mostly intentional. Everything was intentional. And I'm glad for the military. I am.
No,
I reached a lot of goals in here. Some people it's not, but it's so many things. And I always tell people you can't blame other people for certain stuff. You have to sit there and look at where you at and what you want to do, because you can't sit there and be like, hey, this is their fault. Like, what have you learned? No one taught me. No, what have you learned? You know, and then you put that responsibility on yourself. So, you know.
No, thank you. So when you decided that 6 years ago, right? You in the military, you know, you're doing kind of freelance stuff, and you was like, okay, now I'm about to make this move. What would be the first 5 steps you could suggest to somebody when they make that move to start going into, you know, they LLC and they corporation? What would you give?
So the first 5 steps. Oh, you said 5 steps. First off, you have to make sure that your mindset is there, because there's a difference between you coming from the military in a sense of being underneath someone to being a CEO or a business owner of someone or of your organization. So, because sometimes, you know, our goals be so small to where we start to sit there and stop. So understanding like it's within that progress that things start to happen. So I would say make sure that your mindset is right. Make sure that you are in good company, to knowing that who you're networking with, that hey, these people has the best interests for yourself and for the community, what you're sitting there trying to do. Focus. If you don't focus, you're gonna be all over the place. So that still comes with mindset. But now that you say, hey, you know, I want a business, what kind of business? Because sometimes you don't need to jump into LLC quickly because you don't know the ins and outs of it. LLC is just the legal portions of certain things and tax styles, right? So it's like, make sure you focus on what you have and then you expand upon that. Because if you don't, it's just gonna be like, okay, you give up. And now what? Now you probably feel like a failure because you don't have that much confidence with certain things. I would say make sure that your four walls are taken care of. Make sure you are taken care of. Make sure your health, your family, if you do have a family, make sure you are taken care of, because that is your support system. Because when you are, your back is against the wall, like there is certain things that you need support, whether it's emotional support, you're going to need that support, because it's not always an uphill thing. So when you start to flatline, because it will flatline, and you just got to make sure that you have that discipline to know, like, hey, I have my tribe, and I have these individuals here to help me out through that. And then you just sit there and stay organized. Stay organized.
Okay.
Easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. But if
Really?
you sit there and you start your business, start thinking big picture, right? Like when you see your business, you say, hey, this is me, and these are the people I need to hire. And then you start structuring it down, like what kind of roles and what kind of tasks they're gonna sit there and do. Because you just start from yourself. you're going to go as far as your mindset going to take you. But other people in their specialty is going to take you even further. So I hope that was 5. I think that was 5. If not,
that was 5.
That was all mixture.
But one thing you hit on that I wanted to touch is you said like your support system, because you and I, we met from a community of like-minded individuals that wanted to coach, wanted to help others, and we were accountability partners. You know, when I sit here and say, hey, you know, I'm military, Jada was the first one. Okay, Army, what branch? Are you Army? Okay, I'm Navy. I won't hold that against you, but let's go.
Yeah,
I needed that, you know, because you when you're venturing it, you can have the entrepreneurial spirit all day long, but sometimes you're gonna have those ebbs and flow of business and life and everything else, and you need that support system that's outside of your normal circle to sit here and say, come on, let's go.
Yes.
And that's how Jada held me accountable, and that's why we're seeing, you know, the results of on her side of what we're doing here. And you know, iron sharpen iron, and stay close to the fire. So, you know, I love that.
Yeah.
And just one more thing though, because some people, it's okay that if you have a 9-to-5 or you stay in the military, or what, you can still have a entrepreneur mindset that you could be innovative, whatever organization that you're in. So some people is not up to having a business, but you can help. You know, you can still be that leeway. You know, so that's it.
Yeah. So let's talk about your marketing a little bit. Your marketing business. What do you feel now that we talked about the cyber and technology and innovation and stuff like that? What are you seeing with the traditional marketing and the more digital marketing? What are you seeing is in that, and is it more complexity or easier as you're helping some of your clients?
So I would definitely say it's an even balance, right? Because nothing traditional and digital, it should not be one or the other. Both of them need to sit there and work in parallel. Because if you're local, especially if you're a local small business, people around your local area need to sit there and know who you are. You still do those tactics, those tactical implementations, right? But then when you start bringing your stuff online, it's a whole different, because you're reaching so much more. So it's just, the social media platforms is just that, a platform. So you still have to have a strategy. So when those strategies start to come into play, some people don't have a strategy. They're like, I'm just going to go ahead here and I'm going to just do this, I'm going to do that. So I talk to a lot of business owners and be like, yeah, I don't have one. I'm like, well, we can talk, because I don't want to sit there and just say, hey, here's your tactical implementation, and you don't even have a plan for anything further. So you can come to me, but I need you to sit there and do better, just as much as you have a business plan. If you have a business plan, have a marketing plan with it as well. So now when you come to SteadyFront Marketing, and we're like, hey, what's your strategies? What do you have? What is working and what's not working? Let's see how we can bridge those gaps with it. So I don't think that no one should change from traditional marketing to online, and just keep it parallel, because that's how you sit there and continue doing your brand awareness.
Okay, so I'm being selfish here. I'm being selfish a little bit. You know, with Gravity Solutions, your consultation, if you need some coaching clarity and some strategy for yourself. But let's talk about that. So what if one of your prospects or your clients is sitting here saying, my marketing is not working? How do you put that under a microscope, and what are you looking at? What are the first steps you're going to do to kind of figure that out, even if that person's the right fit for you?
So it just depends on what they have done. So that's the assessment, right? So we sit there and be like, okay, well, let's see, what have you done? What are you doing? Because I could sit there and be like, okay, well, if you're trying to market something, offer that's not in your industry, or that's not your target audience, you're not going to get what you want, right? Because it's language. Sometimes people look at, okay, I'm talking to an 18 to 24-year-old, but your language is talking to a 45 to a 60-year-old. You're not going to sit there. Your strategy is not working because you're not even in the right audience that you have. So it's just more so just looking at the assessment and be like, okay, this is, maybe you need to tweak this, or you need to tweak this portion. That's pretty much that it is, because some people they have it, they just don't know how to implement it, or they don't have time to implement it. That's why they got people like us to sit there and implement it, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
you know, but I like to bring their vision into a more broader sense, you know, because I can sit there and listen and be like, oh, this is what they want. Because you hear it every day. This is what they want. This is what they need. So I'll push that back out to them and see what they say. If they want to go around and do that, then that's usually what it is. So
That's big. That's big. Hey, you just got some nuggets there. I hope you're taking notes on this. If you haven't, give this episode a thumbs up. Go out and follow. I am Jada Jones on IG, and we'll have more for information at the show notes. But this is definitely, anyone that's inspired to be a business owner. These are people spend a lot of money about marketing, a marketing plan. And the information that Jada just put out right here in the last couple of minutes is things that is saving you thousands of dollars and everything. So don't take for granted. So I just appreciate that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. So welcome. Do you help your local community out with things? Because you talked about that earlier. Like what kind of things do you do?
So as far as on the marketing portion or
yes,
just
with marketing.
So on the marketing side, so that's where I actually started off was being a local marketing. So I call it a local business growth specialist. So it's more with SEO and dealing with them getting more customers on their end. So usually the local businesses around here, they already established. So all they need to do is get their brand awareness and their offers out. So it's more of advertising and doing those particular things for them. They just want, when Google sit there and someone type a certain keyword, they want their name or their organization to pop up. So we help out with SEO and we help out with their website, blogging and stuff like that. So that's how we do it with the local ones. But mostly it's just advertising because that's what they want. So, yeah.
So a new business starting out, a new small business starting out, how much budget do they need to look at putting towards marketing for SEO, getting their name out there front and everything? How much of a budget they need to put out in front?
So I would definitely say, depending on what kind of business they have, right? Okay. It strictly does depend on the business and what you feel your budget should be. Because say, for instance, if you are in real estate, right? What kind of marketing do you possibly need? So there's certain, as far as nurturing systems and stuff like that, but knowing their needs more of brand awareness, like personal brand awareness. Hey, I am a real estate professional. This is how I can help you get into a home or invest, right? So those are like more different, like entrepreneur with small teams. But when you start looking at businesses that's making about $1 million already, or they have some reoccurring revenue, you start to look at it a little bit different. So it just depends on the business. So if I sit there and say, hey, if it's a business that's doing recurring, they already know their marketing, they already have those things established. Usually those start depending on the type of packages. So if you say SEO, you might, just for SEO with your website, you might start at $1,000. It's a possibility, right? Because it depends on what they're doing in the SEO, right? With the marketing portions of that. So a lot of people, even it's like $1,000 or more with SEO, depending on what they're doing. But if it's just a website, someone sitting there trying to get book calls or things like that, you still want to, there's some tracking things that you can do that's lesser money of hiring an agency that you could do on your own. Sit there and write blogs, sit there and put things into keywords that you can actually help out with that, because it could go up there, because there's different levels to SEO, so those different levels would make sure that you are top ranking without having like Google ads. Now Google ads is a whole different thing. That's getting more technical, y'all, so I know.
No, got you. Could you give me, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, do your thing.
Could you give me three most common mistakes you see with new businesses, new companies starting out, trying to get their marketing going forward? Because I know you give a lot of advice. What do you see most common?
I see most common is them want to go straight into advertising, digital advertising, like paid digital advertising. I would say that someone come to me and they say, hey, I just want to do digital advertising. I'm like, first, let's see what your offer is and how are you established? Because when you do digital advertising, it's guaranteed that you're going to get people and prospects coming in. On your back end, do you have a sales team, or do you have someone to close them, or even answer those phone calls when they start coming in? Because then you can't measure particular stuff, because once you don't measure it, you're like, oh, this is not working. It's working, but you on the back end is not doing it. You're not doing the right thing. So you make sure, like when you start doing digital advertising, people's gonna start coming in. It might be some no-shows, but you got to make those phone calls. And if you're a solo person, are you going to be able to make all those phone calls, right? So it's just those portions. I say stay organically, start gradually getting the community going. Start gradually getting the community going to, start organically pushing those things, and then start doing, more advertising once you start getting to those portions, because it does get costly. I don't want y'all to sit there and start off being so costly. Then y'all get, but you know what? I get discouraged. You don't feel like things is happening the way you want to. So don't be so fast with it. Just slowly, do what you need to do on that part.
Build on it.
Yeah, you build on it.
That's the key part. A lot of things I tell my clients or people that's just inquiring is like, identify the platform you're going to work on, know that platform, know what your package is, and know who your client, who you're targeting. You mentioned that earlier, because you can spend thousands of dollars
of wasted money
advertising, wasted money, and and you think you're going one direction, you're saying you're going north, and you're going totally south, and your business may end up going south too, and you'll be sad. So that's a great point. So
we don't want to waste no money, CJ. We don't want to waste no money. So
yeah. So as we close this out, CJ said where you see yourself in the 5 years, but what I see you on stage a lot. Yeah, I see you doing a lot of speaking events. What can you enlighten us a little bit more about that? Because I know you're tapping the community. You're doing a lot more speaking. I know you've been in some masterminds that we've been in some masterminds together to definitely put us around a different circle of people, and I see your successes on stage. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what you got upcoming?
So a lot of my speaking and coaching portion is circled around my book. So I talk about a lot of personal growth and leadership, and how those things is a requirement for your growth. So it's just more of like transitioning into different life stages. So I definitely, there's a lot of individuals that fits the bill. Rather we educating y'all gentlemen and just empowering, a lot of us women to sit there and go out for it. When you think about She Leads, because my book is called She Leads Without Limits. So it's like, don't limit yourself. Even though there is certain things that, hey, it might be an obstacle. So if it is, you just sit there and try to think with your mind and know that there is so much more out there that you can sit there and just conquer. So that's why a lot of things I speak about when I do sit there and have some conversations. But I'm a warrant officer, so we try to stay in small groups. So that's definitely practice that I have to sit there and do, because sometimes we don't like to shine. I don't like a lot of attention. But I know that there is a bigger impact more than me to sit there and go out and do what I have to sit there and do for the betterment and to better grow myself with it. So right now I'm strictly working on getting the book brand more out. So y'all may see a lot of my face, or y'all may not. Y'all may just see the brand, the logo coming through. Y'all start seeing some inspiration, motivational things coming up, and then my face probably pop out like, hey, it was me. So, but
so we'll definitely put your book information down there. We're definitely going to put your book information in the show notes, and if you haven't already picked that up, we'll put everything for you. And actually, CJ, I was talking with Jada as we were sitting here preparing for other collaborative type things, and we was talking about, was saying that maybe coming back on to the BootzToSuits podcast, because being a warrant officer, we can have these kind of conversations on tap anytime and stuff like that. So it's good to have that warrant conversation, create our own warrant corner of conversation, small talk.
I'm with it.
So see, there you go.
Besides her book, though, because we always ask this question, could you recommend a few books that entrepreneurs and stuff like that you recommend that will kind of get us going in the right direction? I like to hear what kind of things you read.
So I read a whole bunch of different books because I'm ready to receive, right? But there are some people that's not ready to receive certain books. So
Okay.
sometimes I really don't like to sit there and say, hey, I recommend this book, because
Okay.
sometimes they're not ready for it. But there's some of the books I read is more on mindset and more how the brain works. Some people's not.
Ooh,
People don't
okay,
really want some of those
okay.
things.
Yeah, I'm with
So
it.
it's more like human psychology, right? So I like to.
Right,
So right now, I just tell you what's in my Audible book. What I'm actually looking at now, listening to now, and this live right now. I would definitely tell y'all it would be. Bear with me, gentlemen.
No, we good.
So I am right now reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So
Yep.
that one is
Okay.
a very good one.
Yep.
And I am looking at the smartest money book you've ever read. So those are my last. Those are. Say again.
The smartest money book I ever read. That's the name of the book. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that's by Daniel Solon. And
Okay.
of course, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is by Stephen Covey.
Okay.
And those, I would say right now, is a gradual, but it's definitely mindset shifts, because
Okay.
if y'all even get She Leads Without Limits, right? That is more,
Right,
I say,
right,
is
right,
more of a
right.
personal growth booklet for y'all. I would say it like a small book that
Okay.
y'all could take with y'all and be like, you know what, these are some of the character attributes that I need to sit there and start to grow in order for me to even succeed in this particular area. So, it's definitely talking more about the inner mindset, inner leader's mindset. So,
Ooh, I like it.
yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, she should be throwing those out there like that, like it ain't no. Okay. I hear you.
I mean,
Hey, Jada.
that's just how it is. You got to sit there and have that reach. That reach is there, definitely.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
So we appreciate you taking time out. This was a phenomenal episode, and listeners and viewers, this is not the last time you're gonna see Jada on BootzToSuitzPodcast. She's probably gonna be covering for me and CJ sometimes here, and just have her own part of it. But
Just
it was
call
a
me.
pleasure. There you go. You heard it here first. We're gonna hold you to it. It's like a
Just call me.
contract. But thank you again. Thank you
Okay.
again. Definitely learned a lot, and I'm personally going to hit you up for a consultation about my marketing some more. And definitely, if you have any questions about moving to Hawaii, CJ here could definitely help you with that with his broker experience. And if you're looking to have some vision and some thought about starting a business, Gravity Solutions Consultations is here for you, and that information will be in the show notes. So don't be at any fear. We're here for you. The Warrant's got you. So I appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
yeah, take care.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.